my contract with myself is like, okay, still put out a knee video every week with the knee.
Because you're the world's expert on knee health.
I got to do maybe the people's educational resource on like.
Well, that's oddly social.
Definitely not the world's expert.
People's Republic of Knee stuff.
My point is just that exercising your body through full ranges of motion requires a little more mastery, but it's worth pursuing in life versus this cog in a wheel of don't pursue being great. Like, it's worth pursuing understanding full range of motion.
Ben Patrick, aka Mr. Knees Over Toes guy. Any relation to Tara Patrick?
I'm drawing a blank.
That's for the best. Scott, do you know who that is?
Figure skater?
Close. Marcos, really close. Marcos, I know you're watching. Enjoy this one. It's an adult film actress.
As soon as you said Marcos,
He knew who that was. Wonderful having you here.
Amazing to be here.
Excellent. You may or may not say that within several minutes once you hear the first crazy question. This is one of these interview shows where we bring in the guest and we just shock them with like just on the spot. I'm going to imbue things to you that you never said. Like I'll say, well, you said some unkind things about the Jewish people. Do you have anything to say now on camera? See, it's already weird. On a serious note. Hopefully not. I didn't read all the questions. I didn't make these questions either. So I just went online. Life story. Tell us a bit about who you really are. I know you as the Knees Over Toes guy. I did a video critique of your stuff, which was exceptional. Not a lot of our video critiques are that exceptional. Where were you born? To whom? What was your childhood like? Give us some meat.
Oh, cool. San Jose, California. My parents, Brian and Celia, they do commercial office management.
That's an exciting thing.
It's not exciting at all, but it's really cool because as a kid, I could go with them to work. My parents worked their butts off.
That's awesome.
My mom is still the hardest worker I know.
Oh, wow.
When people give me compliments on my work ethic, I feel guilty because it's like,
just start nodding.
No,
like, that's not me.
Yeah. But it's really cool seeing them operating together. They always believed in me, or at least didn't tell me otherwise when I told them I want to go to the NBA.
Oh, wow. Wow. They're like, you're white.
Yeah.
So
my dad has later told me like, yeah, I never believed you would dunk a basketball. Like, okay, I can now. He didn't tell me until
that's
after
so awesome.
I could. So it's they kind of let me learn through my mistakes. Go through it.
Starting basketball at all.
Including starting basketball. No, I mean,
I asked you off camera already, but for the folks listening, how tall are you?
6'1".
Okay. For real 6'1", not an inflated NBA
No.
6'1".
No, if any scouts are listening, 6'3", just edit the...
Excellent. Scouts. How old are you?
33.
33. Well, shit, you're just getting into your NBA years. Scouts, listen up.
Yeah. I worked really hard at, like, I saw how they operated. I was like, okay, if I can outwork everybody, then I'll make it. Mm-hmm. Well, I had chronic knee pain by 12 from that approach.
Oh my God. Okay, so we'll get into your athletic career next.
Yeah.
But I suppose up to age 12, we couldn't really say you had much of an athletic career yet, but you already had some knee pain. Who were you kicking? Also, as a side note, how many Latino or Southeast Asian gangs did you join in San Jose?
San Jose, I guess I stayed in my little neighborhood. I didn't know much outside of that. But
so you were in a rival gang.
Yeah, exactly. And then when I was 6, we moved to Florida.
Oh,
which was way too hot. Grew up hating it. Now I love it because it's just simple.
Where in Florida?
Clearwater, Florida. It's beach town by Tampa. Flying to Tampa.
My wife and I just saw a police body cam video on YouTube in Clearwater, Florida. You believe it or not, there's a lot of Floridians involved in police body cam activity. They're so kind and make so much sense, and they're rarely ever drunk or on drugs.
Good to know. We take pride in Florida, man.
even saying that out loud is difficult. What is clear? So I know Miami. I've been to Miami.
Yeah.
One of Jared Feather's spirit homes, and
cool.
He's just into Latinas and Southeast Asians like Rose. So also, he technically a part of him lives in San Jose as well. San Jose ladies, get at him. But Clearwater, is that like a resort town?
I mean, you have a bunch of these beach towns that it is a lot of older people.
Okay. So
But
tons of crime.
very chill beach town, nothing to do, older people in condos on the beach. I lived not on the beach part, but in town, really, really simple area, way too hot.
Too hot.
But later in life, you kind of appreciate the simple, slow pace.
Sure.
And I'd say in the last 5-10 years, it's on the up pretty nicely because you have people coming from LA and places where they, good, more lively, active people, but who don't want to live in a big city.
Sure.
So you have
That makes total sense.
like my area is nicely on the up from people coming, moving in.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And so you went to school, I assume. Your parents homeschooled you or no?
No, went to school.
Excellent. Okay. Not, no offense to homeschool people. You're all normal. How was your involvement in sport and physical activity as compared to your peers up until about age 12? Because like the reason I'm asking that is I have lots of memories when I was little of just being not so great at a ton of sports and watching people around me like be really good at them, and also some memories of me like really catching on to some sports and games and really feeling my own athletic kind of swagger and being like, all right, like I can do this kind of stuff. What was your childhood like in that regard?
I had pretty good aim, like could shoot a basketball well.
Okay.
Could throw accurately, but was definitely like skinnier, weaker than other kids. Slow.
Were you into food or no? Like as a little kid, did you like food, or was it you had too much activity to make up for it? Like I was never like a skinny kid. I'm always curious about how that works.
My dad graduated high school 125 pounds. Just like some of those really skinny.
How tall was your dad when he graduated?
5'11" and a half. Yeah.
Wait.
I went into high school 92 pounds. It was just
I was close, but I was 5'2".
Yeah, but I was doing like, because my mindset was like, okay, if I practice basketball 6 hours a day and no one else is doing that, then that'll make me better at basketball.
Sure.
But the body matters too. So it's like
we exist in a physical body.
My skills probably peaked at about 12. Like I was like,
wow,
winning all kinds of like awards for shooting and things. Like I was very skilled. But
did that give you confidence in the realm of basketball?
Kind of, but not really. Because when you're when you're slower, weaker, it's just
your
not
court
so fun.
presence you knew wasn't that ideal.
It sucks when you're like always kind of nervous because it's like, all right, that every game the guy you're matched up against is going to be stronger and faster than you.
Yeah.
It stopped being fun.
Yeah. What age did it stop being fun?
Kind of around 12-ish when the knee pain, I think then even whatever good quality puberty athleticism gains I would have had, those didn't form so well. Like, because already just with the knee pain, like something, you're not putting that force in like you would if you didn't have the knee pain.
What do you retrospectively now attribute your knee pain to so early?
Sheer volume of basketball.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, if you look at the sport of basketball, it's you get your advantage by really smashing force into your knees, trying to jump, trying to fake people out.
Coming down from jumps.
Landing, yeah. So it's very imbalanced. Like, I don't think it's wrong to jump or wrong. Like, I don't think any human movement is wrong. I think it's weird when it gets imbalanced. It would be like if someone like started training bench at 6 years old and only in their 20s were like, oh, I've never trained any back muscles.
I have a back.
Yeah, like if you actually did
what is it for?
Yeah, so
I can't pull the bench bar down. Must be a waste.
Yeah, you can almost like assess skill level at that age, 12, 13, 14. Spot the kids already with knee pain. They're usually really skilled. Like it's, and then you get to where, like when I grew up, like all the skilled guys had knee pain. And most of us then fell off, and people with better genetics who started a bit later.
Yeah.
Like Michael Jordan wasn't serious about basketball till 16.
Yes.
Kobe grew up playing soccer. LeBron was playing football in high school. So like statistically, if you want to be one of the greatest NBA players of all time, don't specialize in basketball. There's no evidence yet of someone who was like only playing basketball who's one of the top 5 players of all time.
It's an interesting thing because culturally, many people such as yourself, I don't want to say fall into the myth. It's not a myth, but sort of index really highly on, I'm just going to outwork everyone else. And I'm going to establish a base level of technique that's so high that by the time I'm 12, 13, 14, I'll basically have like collegiate level ability to handle the ball and put it through the hoop. And then, I'll just grow up and become an adult and be really good at basketball. But it turns out that if you do so much technique work that you end up having some chronic injuries, it's a real bad deal.
Yeah.
And I guess, is it wrong for me to say that most people probably that you came up with that were by 12, 13 struggling with chronic stuff, they probably didn't make it to that next level?
Pretty much. Because
like there's not a lot of coming back from that unless you take a meticulous approach, or you get lucky and you grow out of some shit, Yeah.
It can happen. Like sometimes the genetics are so strong, you see someone just rocket up and they've got muscles everywhere.
Yes.
And like I didn't have the genetic push to handle that onslaught. But nor does that mean to not be coordinated and practice your sport. But it's like, it's too simple. Just balance that shit up.
Yes.
Train your body. Like it's too simple.
Right. You started playing basketball and training for basketball at what age?
I mean, going in 6, 7, 8, 9, like by like 9, I knew that I was like, okay, if I'm gonna be good at this, I'm gonna have to like do something different. I'm gonna have to outwork everybody.
Sure.
But like at 9, you don't know, like no one's talking to you like, let's have a chat about knee surgery. Like at 9, hey, you're 9, what you're doing is can increase your chances of knee surgery down the, like no one's having that conversation with a 9-year-old. It's like, if you dream it, you can do it. Aim for the stars. You'll wind up on the moon. If you like, it's all that kind of stuff. So you and then you get the knee pain, you go to a doctor and it's like, it's growing pains. No one's like, hey,
oh, nice.
It's like, no one's like, hey, your legs are actually super weak and you're doing like hours of plyometrics a day on super weak legs.
I assume the doctor probably never asked what you were doing. It's probably just like, meh.
It's growing pains, rub this cream on it, eventually take these pills. And then when you start taking the pills, at first you feel good. God, it doesn't hurt anymore. That's how you get into the surgery. Because then you wake up one day.
So you keep training hard as nails.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I don't know.
But you can't feel it. So now you go farther than you even would if you weren't on the drug. And then you're a teenager, you wake up and your knee doesn't bend. And they go look and it's just like you have all kinds of tears. Like I'd have 3 different like changes in this knee. And
okay, so
but I was flying high on the drugs
of course.
for a short period of time.
Of course. Wow, that's like Scott, what's that movie with the football people and their teacher's a stripper and
Go on.
then this is like a 90s football movies, Varsity Blues, where they like
forget that one, but
they inject the guy's knee and his buddy's like, don't do it. But it was just a short-term gain.
Yeah.
So you started having knee pain when you were about 12 years old.
Yeah.
Were you going to basketball camps and stuff like that?
I mean, it's just nonstop.
The whole thing. 20. Like 365.
Like to give like actual measurable. At 9, I went to Indiana for a basketball camp. I was already going to basketball camps.
Indiana, what do they know about basketball?
There was a really good shooting coach there.
I'm totally kidding.
Yeah. There was a really good jump shooting coach there. And in his system, you shoot 500 shots a day. And so like we're talking, and it's a jump shot. Like you're trying to jump up on every shot. So like, not a set shot. Like it's a jump shot. So like I took that super literally and then went years. I went about 3 years. Like I didn't miss a day. Like if it was Christmas, I went to an outdoor court. If it like 500 jump shots a day. And that's not even including the team practices, strapping up ankle weights and dribbling basketballs through my neighborhood at 5 a.m. Like just anything I saw that like this guy did this or this guy, like I was just like a tendonitis machine of just like just thinking. But like, so by 12, I knew like, okay, something's like, this just like hurts every day. Like my knees hurt every single day. And like when there's like a fire drill and the kids start scramming, I'm like hobbling to like get like,
oh my God. And you're supposed to,
I was like kind of scared if there was a fire because I had to be like, I remember at 12 being like really thinking out the fire exits because like everyone else could just run. And I had to like warm up for a bit to go up and down stairs. Yeah.
And of course at the time you hadn't put 2 and 2 together. So you just kept going.
By this point, going to doctors and stuff, like going to doctors, going to trainers.
Okay.
Oh, your knee hurts. Okay, we're going to avoid that.
Okay. Like, so you got the standard of care that was avoid whatever's hurt.
Ice it, rub cream that you don't feel it, take drugs that you don't feel it. When it comes to exercise, don't load it. avoid it.
Right. So it gets weak.
Do anything else that you can do.
Right. Okay.
Yes, I got the standard all avoidance methods.
Yes.
So now does that make a little more sense why I'm like this psycho on like helping people understand it and be able to load it? Like it's the fire will never burn on that.
Tons.
Burn out. Yeah.
No, tons. That makes perfect sense. How long did you spend going to doctors, and what was your basketball training situation like through high school?
12 to 14 was like a lot of the doctor period, because that's when it was like, why is this not going? What's going on? Is it, at times I was convinced like it's growing pains, like it's going to go away. Then in high school, like 14 to 16 was just painful. It was just rough. I'm surprised.
Like literally painful.
Yeah. They, like by the time I actually had surgery at 18, the doctor was suggesting like some of this stuff has been torn for like a long time.
So you had
like there was
structural damage.
Yeah, they said
it
like
just irritation.
Yeah, they said there was like a fracture in my knee that had probably been there for like 4 or 5 years. Like that I was.
So basically, when the pain started, you had already had
the pain started at 12, but I think by 14 I probably actually had some damage, like some torn up stuff.
Holy.
Yeah. So, but really, once you're getting into like 16, you're not even talking about. You're talking about by 16 that it's like I can't even. It's like play the game, and then like I can't even practice. Like I can't. Like once it's off season, I just have to like stop and just work. Like I can't even play back. Like it was just pain. So I was trying to take breaks and break. Like 16 to 18, I wasn't really playing much.
Wow.
Like 17, 18.
You were on the high school team?
Yeah. But I had to like skip all the summer basketball that everyone was doing with like the AAU. Like I had to skip all that. And then by 18 by then I was really juiced up on any kind of drugs I could get in or around there. And then woke up one morning, and by that point, the shit just wouldn't bend at all. Like there was no choice left but to get a surgery, because it just wouldn't even.
So at 18, you got your first surgery?
I only had one surgery. In that surgery, they did 3 different. They replaced part of the kneecap.
In one leg?
Yep. Okay. They replaced the meniscus. They had to sew, however you want to call it, the quad tendon. And then, so it's like, so that left knee was like, even for years after, was stiff. Like, so stiff. Really, the partial kneecap replacement was like,
that's
very
intense,
stiff.
Dude. That's car accident stuff.
Yeah.
You just like summated a car accident over 12 years of.
Yeah. But the right one was in a lot of pain. Like the left one is the one that I woke up and like couldn't bend anymore. Sure. So like that's the only one they looked at. So like my right knee's never been looked at, but it was like still in chronic pain. Then had times where like I definitely tore something in the right, where it's like, you know, can't walk around normally for a long time. And like, so I was like, I was sure that I needed surgery on the right, but I hated the process of the surgery so much on the left. And it was it's still like was super problematic, the left side, that I was like willing to kind of be a dysfunctional person, but not have surgery, and was just relentlessly then experimenting on fixing the knees. And it was Charles Poliquin. I'm a teenager watching T-Nation, you know, back and forth porn and T-Nation. Sweet. And like,
dude, what else do you need?
I did stop it at 18. I've never gone back to porn.
I thought you meant T-Nation. Yeah, both. I just closed both.
T-Nation was like a gateway to porn. Yes. They used to have those like girls with like the bikini, and I was like,
what does that have to do with muscles?
Yeah. And Poliquin was like hardcore about it, but it definitely, like the moment I saw Charles Poliquin say anything about knees over toes, it immediately clicked that I was like, that's what went wrong.
That's the shit I've been avoiding.
Like that, I just avoided that the whole time.
When you, 2 questions. First is, did you train with weights at all through middle school and high school, or was it just
high school? Yeah. And then I actually got really into lifting, and you'd actually laugh if you saw, by the time I was 18, so I was at 14, I was 92 pounds. By the time I was 18, I was 205. Whoa. And was like 20% body fat. Even
big man.
I look like people don't believe it was me. I was just like puffed out. But the legs
yourself?
I should have brought a picture of this. My legs were so thin, and my upper body was pretty big.
It's making the problem worse.
Because I couldn't access, like, because of the knee pain.
Yep.
I couldn't get anything. I wasn't actually skipping leg day.
Right.
Like I was doing whatever, like what the trainers were telling me to do and stuff.
Sure.
And weight gain shakes like crazy, And like I always overdid. Like I definitely knew I definitely knew looking back that the extremist approach was the fundamental of my problems.
Yes.
But then being told to avoid the knee.
Also extreme.
That combination is what made knees over toes guy, and then realizing the opposite.
Yeah. Graded exposure into the difficult.
Exactly. Or I guess not the opposite, the middle, because I'm not also like, I also train my posterior chain. Like
Sure,
I don't
of course.
only do knee over toe. I just do knee behind toe and knee over. Like
Yes.
So yeah, actually went from extreme overuse and extreme avoidance to then logical progressive loading.
I love it. I love it. My second question in this regard was, how did it feel as a human being and as a child to like not be able to fully train the sport that you loved, and it get progressively worse until you were just like recovering from surgery and I assume couldn't walk really for a while?
A lot of depression. Unhappy.
Capital D.
Yeah, and I don't mean it in a medical sense because I never got myself evaluated.
Sure.
And the moment I fixed my knee pain and could dunk, I've been like a happy camper compared
If I could dunk, I'd be happy too.
like for my, like to this day, the fact that I can go hoop with my buddies, dunk, go squat with you right now, not have to worry about my knees.
Yeah.
Like I don't ask for too much out of life. Like I definitely got, going through all that shit growing up. I'm like, I got a hot wife. I got like money in the bank. I can train my body. Like the gratitude level is ridiculous because of not having this stuff. It definitely didn't have good success with women either because like just.
Oh, sure.
And then all the weight gain, like my diet was so, looking back, like so
extreme.
Going from 95 pounds to 205, whatever occurred there, my acne got really bad. So then you've got like, can't play my sport, like secretly taking different drugs, terrible acne. Maybe I could have had a good relationships, but I was terrified.
It makes a ton of sense because I remember, this is an odd interjection, but nonetheless, I think weaves in. I remember like when I was younger, having my first like vision in my head of like how I would deal with a woman physically. And like what I thought was like, consensually, of course, like we're up against the wall and I like move in for the kiss. Right. And the first feeling I had about that was like, I don't have the balls to pull that off. And then I realized like, there's nothing to me that I consider impressive enough to offer another human being. And like, can you imagine if a girl was like, your friend was like, hey, Marcy, and Marcy, Scott, why is Marcy my go-to? I don't even know if I knew a single Marcy in my life. 57. You're like, oh, like, hey, meet my friend, and Marcy's like, so like, what are you about? And you like go through your head when you're like 17 or 18, you're like, oh, I'm not good at basketball. I can't play that. Don't really like how my body's shaped. I'm chronically injured. I don't feel that great. I'm always depressed.
Yeah.
As soon as that index ends, she's like, so you're like, you could just move along to the next person. Is that sort of how it is? Like,
it was for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some people have like almost a delusional confidence that may or may not work out. I'm maybe too realistic.
You're right. Sure. You're like, just pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes total sense. So before...
But please tell more stories, because the worst thing about going on podcasts is like I would rather be chatting with you.
Oh, stop. Well, I usually just talk too much. So Scott will actually throw something from behind that.
Like your followers obviously know more of your story more. So I get it, but it's
I don't even have any followers.
Let me tell you, other than laughing with my toddlers before the podcast started, definitely the funniest person I've been around.
Get the fuck out of here. We paid him to say that, Scott.
I was like lightheaded before.
Like, oh, better not be this funny during. Don't worry, my funniness peaks early, and then you just get sick of me.
Perfect.
So you, at age 18, this entire time, your whole life, I assume at age 18, you were going to be planning to go to college to play basketball.
Yeah.
Where were you 18 physically, mentally, and what was your trajectory? Were you enrolled to go to college? Did you go play college ball? Talk us through that 18 to 22-ish period.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go to college unless it was to play basketball. So I was
That's the only reason people should go to college, I think. Also, to teach you stuff, maybe? I don't know.
Well, there I was taught even more strongly, no knees over toes.
Thanks, college.
But I was working for my parents, so doing kind of like physical labor type stuff.
Okay.
By this point, my parents had worked their way up to having a little office park, so mulching, landscaping, painting walls.
Super.
Every kid's dream. But
Of course.
the truth is,
After high school.
yeah.
Okay.
But the truth is, I don't know. I liked it. Doing physical work kind of makes you feel a bit better about yourself.
Oh, yeah. Accomplishing something real in the world, especially something that organizes a disorganized system or creates something a little bit more beautiful than it was before. It's like this. You can go home and like be like, I did something today that makes sense.
Exactly.
I just sit in my office and write manuscripts and shit. I have no idea where the fuck any of that is. Sometimes I don't even send the emails back, Fuck it.
But that was definitely good for my self-esteem. And I still wanted to play college basketball. So by this point, it was like, I kind of knew it wasn't going to happen, but I was experimenting with my knees.
Okay. So you knew now, like, I'm going to have to fix this shit myself because no one's coming to help me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. By this point, I'd given up. Like, I'm not like,
Right.
I'm not going to trainers. I'm not going
Doctors,
to doctor.
trainers, they're just all the advice at best didn't work and at worst was just fucking wrong to begin with.
Yeah. And Charles Poliquin at least wrote a lot. He didn't have a lot of videos at the time. And in that phase, he wasn't running any courses that you could go to. But just from trying to mimic what I was duplicating from these articles and stuff, and just trying to get into deeper ranges of motion.
Because you were avoiding them.
Exactly. I'd always avoided
When you were training in high school, like what was your squat depth like? Was it significantly above parallel, sort of parallel-ish?
Probably in my mind parallel, but not close to it.
Say no more. I've been to high school before.
And also like very meticulously working on the form of not letting my knees over my toes. Like
big chest, hips back, butt back.
Right.
Yeah.
Like my deadlift did get stronger. Bench press got stronger.
Did the deadlift help the knee situation at all?
The problem is like, if you're just not getting any of the knee development, then if you build the back and the upper body, I mean, just the physics of it gets a little harder to play basketball on your knees.
Yeah. So it's even worse. It's setting you up for...
Yeah. Taking it out of context would be like, deadlifting's bad for your knees. No, but like anything, like just put more weight on your back and go put a weight vest on and try to play basketball. It's gonna be a little more like pressure on your knees.
Sure.
So because I had started so early with certified trainers who were adamantly no knees over toes, no bending below 90 degrees.
Oh, that's how I came up.
But being an extremist going from 92 pounds to 205, a lot of mass occurred there.
Yeah.
With like no leg development.
Oh my
just
God.
Embarrassingly like, so yeah, once I stumbled into the Charles Poliquin stuff and the idea of that he was like, no, that's bullshit. He wanted full range of motion. He wanted to allow the knee to go over the toes. Just experimenting with that. And, maybe if someone experiments with this stuff, there's going to be a degree of risk versus learning it in a smart order and
you didn't have
being
a choice,
sensible.
Though.
I didn't know any different. So I just, shotgun approach was just trying all this stuff. But even just doing that compared to all these years of avoiding, I was making also extra money, just like teaching kids how to play basketball. But I was like this crippled coach teaching them. But then it was like, I started to notice like, wait a second, like that same position is not hurting as much. And so,
wow.
Then I'm like, I might be able to play basketball again. So then I was like really hooked.
500 jump shots a day, restarts.
No.
I'm kidding.
No practice. Just like basically just trying to improve ass to grass leg training.
Yes.
And let that catch up with all those years of basketball where your knees never bend all the way down. And I can honestly say I've never had to miss basketball since. And so it was a solid, like, it's like about a decade of knee problems. And now it's been well over a decade of no setbacks. That doesn't, but I'm not trying to tell someone like, go experiment with this and it's going to be smooth. Like by this point I had been through so much, I was pretty sensible about not like pushing.
So when you hit the Charles Poliquin experimentation era, you were already a little bit more reticent to go
Terrified.
overboard on
Exactly.
stuff. So you're like, I'm going to weave this in slow. That's really good.
Exactly.
Tell me two things. One, when you say experimenting with different movements, can you give us a list of a few movements which you got from Poliquin that you started incorporating? And two, what was the kind of frequency and loading range you were using at that time?
Yeah. Frequency was pretty much going to the gym every day, but it didn't mean I was only doing knees because...
Okay. Knee day again.
Yeah. But sometimes it was. Sometimes like go to the gym Monday through Sunday and just like work on the knees every single time. But that's also like what... he had examples that he had learned from Louis Simmons of people doing backward sled. And to someone with healthy knees, it doesn't always make sense at first. But it's pretty similar to a leg extension that happens to, like, if you hook someone up to a backward sled who has really fragile knees and you have them, let's say, go for like 5 minutes, by the end of it, they might have like the first quad pump they've ever had.
Yeah.
So it's like a gateway to then being able to put more load on those legs.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's a sled, you happen to recover much faster.
Sure.
So like someone could like if I put
concentric only.
Exactly.
Minimum range of motion.
Yeah.
And then you're like, this is some little gem of something I can actually do and build upon.
Exactly. And so like I've even done demos where I put 1,000 pounds on the sled and I try to have my mom drag it backward and like it just doesn't move, but she's fine. Like, and just to help people understand, like
you're not going to get hurt.
To help people understand. So yeah, my passion was really on like fragile people, which actually extended to older people. The amount of people 50s, 60s, 70s every day who are like, your system is perfect for me. Like,
we had tons of them comment on the video we did about you.
Yeah.
Tons of older folks and people that had just given up on thinking their knee pain had a solution in the universe.
Yes.
They were like, I had written my legs off as non-functional.
Yes.
And then I found out Knees Over Toes guy existed. I started this shit. I didn't really know if it was going to work. And then a few weeks later, they go on incessantly in the comments section. Blah,
yeah, because they have all this like pain and giving up. So it's like I've been able to look back and see where the hate comes from. And like the main sources the hate come from are like super legitimate. Like number one, if I say something that I get overly passionate and it's not 100% true, that's a mistake. Like I've done like a whole rework and looked at like what worked well, what didn't work well.
Sure. And
then sometimes you get maybe an area that I have bent the truth a little and someone else that maybe I don't even know them. But they're like doing my stuff and now they're going to go make a social media post and bend it even more to the point where it's just like a full on lie.
Yeah.
Or it's too overly exaggerating.
Sure. The one cure to knees everyone needs to do.
Yeah.
Great thumbnail, great title. Scott, write that down.
No, but it is actually true that it's like there's like YouTube videos where it's like, you know, like the only exercise you'll ever need, fix your knee pain, guaranteed in 60 seconds. That's not an exaggeration. What I just said.
That's like a real
I don't want you to go search that right now.
Please don't.
Okay. Now, I can honestly look back. I've never made a title like that in my life.
Sure.
I've showed people gradual progression. I've never made a video that said, this is the only thing you need.
Bro, we reviewed your videos. I was getting ready to tee off on you for saying dumb shit. And it just never happened.
But you found a super legitimate one in a video almost 4 years ago where I said anyone can be a world-class athlete. Like, that's fucking bullshit. And I unlisted that video immediately.
I've said shit like that many times.
Yeah, but like, just because someone else does, like, it's not an excuse to not do better.
Sure.
So I've like completely reworked. Fortunately, I was doing most things good, but was not good enough. And so like I've completely reworked it to where it's like the number one thing is just to be honest. And the videos that I had that actually connected with people the most and extensively talking to people, it's when I'm like, okay, I've been working on this ass to grass split squat for the last 10 years, not get out of knee pain fast. Right. I've been working on this shit for 10 years.
Right.
You don't only need backward sled. That's a stepping stone.
Right.
And this is the stuff that got people, because if you lie, then now someone might think, well, I tried the backward sled and it didn't help me.
Yeah.
So I'm screwed. Look at that. I'm letting that person down.
100% guarantee and it failed.
Yeah. Nor will working on that 10 years guarantee you anything.
For sure.
This is just basic physics and anatomy. Like I don't even want to try to bend the truth. Go like just open up physics books.
Totally.
Go look at Go to the most well-documented strength research on just how does the body adapt? I don't know. Go do your own shit. I'm just going to show what I did. So it's really like the stuff of showing people, here's what I did. Here's what I did. Now I actually can dunk a basketball and so on. And
Sure.
And the goal, like your squat form, where you use a full range of motion and you control it down, that's the goal.
Well, it's easy for me. My femurs are the size of like mouse femurs. They're teeny.
Yes.
Look at you. You're all adult height and shit.
But the beautiful thing is the fragile, skinny, whatever, can get to that. And that's the single most helpful thing that I have seen is with the control. See, some people will equate the full range of motion with just bouncing out of the bottom, which I think is totally fine. Sure. I think every motion is fine, but being able to control it all the way down. Like if you, like I honestly believe if someone out there in the college world wants to do a study, because people ask me, why don't you do a study? Like, dude, I'm winning beyond anything I ever dreamed. I'm not going to change what I do.
I don't even know how the fuck would you do a study?
I don't want to even. I don't even want.
Right.
I don't even want to hold a study that says I'm right. I would rather sell less and just say, here's what I do. Here's what I've done.
Sure.
Totally decide on your own.
Sure.
Like I don't want to change my operation.
Sure.
But if someone in college did, I'm just feeding them something for that system. If you measured and improved, let's say basketball teams with chronic knee pain, to control all the way down a full squat.
Yeah.
I think that would be my best bet. Now, whatever warm-up steps you have to do to get there, that would be the one to measure and notice the changes in knee stats.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you had your early days with going through Poliquin stuff and trying it out.
Yeah.
First of all, how long did it take for you training your legs properly-ish, more properly, until you saw tangible results with your knee pain? And secondly, what did you end up doing with your training that was different and your own arc off of the Poliquin stuff?
Yeah. Within, like, by the end of 1 week, it's not like I could necessarily, like, have much to show for it, but, like, I knew. Like, I knew that the whole avoidance was off.
Okay. Because you had done a bunch of stuff that focused on the knees, and it felt, if nothing else, better by a little bit, or at least the same.
The fact that after years of like downward motion that I was seeing, like I went out to do, it was like I did it for a week, then did like my weekend basketball lesson, but I'm like, what's happening here? Wow. Like it's not hurting as much as it did. It's not like I went out and played a basketball, but I knew like something was different. And we're talking about a route now of like actually facing the knees and improving their ability. So like I knew, like I had already like spent so many years on the avoidance side.
Yes.
That like I just knew. I called my best buddy from high school who was also broken down. Like because I told him like we're not done. Like after 1 week I called like we're not done. And so yeah, I just knew. And the backward sled was the one that I found I could work really vigorously and that it would feel better and better. Whereas getting into the fuller ranges of motion was definitely like, how the heck do I like get down there? Like, how do I?
Yes, it's a long journey.
Yeah. And like, you could kind of like, if it hurts and then you push through it, that doesn't seem to work that well. It might still work better than purely avoiding it. Right. But like, so yeah, it was eventually, and I'll show you in the gym, like I was trying to get to this beautiful full range of motion squat. Like in my head, it would be seeing like your form, for example. And like, so that like
Charles
Poliquin, I never saw him demo any of the leg stuff in my entire life, even going and studying with him in person.
Sure.
But he would sometimes mention like other people and I would go watch and see this like beautiful full
Olympic
range.
Weightlifters and stuff like that. Yeah.
And so it's like, how do I get there? And he wrote about doing split squats and lunges with full range of motion, like how you do like a deeper lunge. The lunge was out of the question. That's actually like more of a progression. So
did you try it and your knees were like, nah, not yet.
Yeah, like I was trying all this stuff and it's like, if it hurt, I'd be like, okay, how do I like, because I knew from the sled thing, like I felt good. Like it's like that's such a cool feeling. That's like, wait a second. Like I've never felt the vastus medialis before. Like I didn't know that existed.
I have
like
quads.
Yeah. Like, so I knew that like, and so yeah, the main thing I wouldn't even try to say I've improved on anything that Poliquin did. when people say, hey, you're just Charles Poliquin for dummies, I'm like, yes, I did.
Finally.
That was like my life stream.
Yeah.
Like my life stream is like, I know that there's like so much genius in this. And even if I compared to your system, like I love following you and watching your stuff because I'm like, I would train exactly how you train. I wouldn't even change your system. Like if I was trying to bodybuild, I would just do your system. Like,
hasn't worked for me.
So then it's almost like if you and I brainstormed, for example, let's say we were trying to help a basketball team that has no bodybuilding machines. There's some fucking dumbbells and just like their body or something.
Sure.
Like I would just be trying to how do we get like closer to those results that you're getting, but without all those machines?
Sure.
And some of it then like comes into the confidence where like, okay, for the backward sled, the fact that someone who's been struggling for years sidelined, wait 6 weeks, all this waiting, and then
fucking 6 weeks,
waiting, hoping, waiting. And then you go backward for 5 minutes and you're sweating and you got a little quad pump.
Yeah.
So it's not even that, is a backward sled better than a leg extension? I don't even care to answer that question.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe in reverse time.
They're a little bit different. They're a little bit similar. Like,
but it works.
Backward sled is just a leg. That's sure. Like, okay, what's occurring in the body?
Sure.
Knee extension.
Yeah. But you basically hadn't done any kind of loaded knee extension on purpose, but it's like for forever
because it's so painful.
Right.
That it's like, so like your thing in your mind, it's like, well, I can't do the leg extension machine, but I can do the hamstring curl, but I can't do the leg extension.
Yeah.
I can't do the leg press. I can't, or if you do the leg press, like if I'm like that, but I like the moment it bends and it's like, you're like, holy shit, is something going to blow here?
Yeah.
And it actually would like kind of work to actually make, so like part of what the people with the pain are not doing is like, it's like, okay, go to the leg extension machine. And it's like, no, like don't put the stack, like do your leg 100 times. Like this would kind of work if you actually got them to realize like,
yes,
what if you went to the squat rack? Not only did you not get under the bar, you set the pins, put your hands on the pins and helped yourself squat deep.
Yes.
Like as crazy as it sounds, if you told me, Ben, you've got 10 seconds to actually get like some outstanding results. Like the camera's going to come on, you have 10 seconds to like improve knee stats around the world. Assist yourself on a deep squat.
Yeah, I'm out. That was 3
Rep
seconds.
that shit out. Get a quad pump with a sit like less than your own body.
Yes.
Gradually load. All right.
It's interesting.
Like that would work well, in my opinion.
I agree in the modern rehabilitative science. There's a lot of stuff outdated. Unfortunately, we have some colleagues that have been in some doctoral physical therapy programs up to this year, actually. And there's still many professors talking about the avoidance mindset as if it's like the right thing to do, which is super unfortunate. But my understanding of sort of modern rehabilitative practice, as soon as let's say you have some pain somewhere, maybe you're just like actually had an acute tear and you have surgery, the number one thing to do after is with as much loading as you can tolerate pain-wise in such a way that the pain isn't getting worse set to set, and especially not worse session to session and week to week, you work on that level of loading and you expand your range of motion at that joint up until it's pretty much maximum range of motion. Then you start loading the joint a little bit more, but you still are getting most of your stimulus from repetitions. Then after that, you're loading the little bit more, but you're building volume, multiple sets. Yeah. And then after that, you start to take the reps down a little bit and crank the weight up a little bit. But really, you've built a lot of musculature, you've built a ton of competence, you've built a ton of movement aptitude. And by then, you're barely in any knee pain at all. Just with heavier weights, it feels a little weird sometimes. And whatever number of weeks, months, or years that whole process takes you, at the end of it, you're just like squatting heavy as shit for sets of 5 or 10 reps with your knees going way over your toes, sitting on your heels, and you're like, I feel fucking great. And then someone's like, yeah, man, you could do that because you have healthy knees. And you're, swear to God, you didn't know where I came from. So it's interesting that just with your own personal journey, that whole idea of just holding yourself on some stands or something, or the pins, and then controlling and working on range of motion first. Because a lot of people will say, I can't do this exercise. It hurts. And then let's say it's a leg press. And then I watch them get out of a car, like fabulously wealthy. Everyone knows this. Scott, how many trillions do we have now? We don't even count the money anymore. Did you know that counting the money at this point would be independently expensive because you have to get all these counting machines? They cost money. So I'm like, fuck.
You're living the dream. It does not get better than what you have.
It's a nightmare because the money's too much money.
No, it doesn't get better than what you have.
Tell me that when you're suffocating under gold dollar coins. In any case, getting out of a sports car. These people get out of the sports car and I'm like, how are your knees? And they're like, fine. I'm like, motherfucker. But that's a deeper position than I had you in the leg press. And, you know, they start doing the quantum calculations about how the fuck that works. Or they'll get into a low chair. They'll get up from playing their kids and they don't really have knee pain. And then I'm like, okay, so let's take the leg press and put 0 plates on each side. Can you go through a full range of motion? They're like, well, yeah. I'm like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to find the weight that gives you a little bit of knee discomfort, not outright pain, but you know, that feeling just on the spectrum of feeling good from getting your balls cut off at the top end, to just sitting on the couch and just chilling out on the one end. Just before pain, you get this sort of like, especially knees, like discomfort, right? You know what I'm talking about? It's kind of like, ooh, your body's like, pain's going to come soon if you keep pushing me. You get them to that point, and then you start building their range of motion abilities at that. And after a few sessions, they're like, 2 plates on the side of a leg press. And they're like, I don't really have knee pain with this. Like, ball, or let's build some volume. Then they're doing 5 sets with 2 plates on a side. And then after a while, you're like 5 sets of 15 at 2 plates on a side. No knee pain at all. Let's slowly 5 pounds on the bar, 10 pounds on the bar here and there over several months. Now they're doing 315 to 405 on the leg press with no knee pain. And now they can squat. Now they can lunge. They can do everything. They've forgotten about it. But I think that people just assume like, I can't do XYZ exercise because I get pain, that they never factor out like exercise at what load. There's someone say, I can't do flies. It hurts my shoulder. I go, okay, just do flies with your arms. How do you feel? They're like, fine. I'm like, there's nothing wrong about flying. If there's actually something really fucked up in your shoulder that precluded flying, just sitting here, I would be like, ow. Okay, then you have a fucking problem. You need a diagnosis, you need surgery, you need something. Yep. But if you can move in an unloaded situation, like imagine going into a swimming pool under the water and then just going to a deep squat.
I literally have people do my program in a pool if they think they can't do it.
And then they can.
Tons of people now are like, I'm walking, right? Like people who like, some older people are struggling to walk. Like they can't walk, they need a cane, stuff like that.
Sure.
And the pool is a game changer.
Because it gives them the idea that it's actually not the range of motion or the activity. It's just the load, and my body's not used to the load. So I have to progress my way into like getting better at handling load.
Yeah. Yeah. You beautifully articulated that. Rarely does someone have a 0 of ability.
It's highly unlikely. Right. It's possible, but very unlikely.
To have a 0 of ability, yes, there would have to be some inorganic deviation to such extent that you would extremely know this. Now, in my experience, the overwhelming majority of people who are labeled with a condition, well, they don't have a 0 of ability. So like often you hear some, like I haven't had my knees checked out for over 10 years. I don't ever plan to have them checked out.
Sure.
But what they find, they might find something they could label.
Sure.
And if I didn't know any better, now I think, and I'm told, and it's express orders, not from every doctor, not from every PT. Many of them are amazing. But yes,
it's a good caveat.
People tell me the exact orders they receive from many doctors and PTs. No, at the worst, it's just like no legs for you.
Yeah.
But it can be no deep bending, no knees over toes, no, or kind of like arbitrary statements like no deep bending and no loading. Or it's like,
sure.
So you can just do a body weight half squat. And like the person believes, and they tell me like, all I'm allowed to do is like a body weight half squat.
And
like,
then what? Like
right.
Forever?
Right.
Until the pain goes away. And then when it goes away, you're like, fuck it. You go back to 225 all the way down and tear your shit up. I've seen people do shit like that. Yeah. The fact that a lot of clinicians don't offer logical progression models is embarrassing.
It's changing frankly. Because of people like you and me.
Well, I don't know.
Because of
I just got here.
This is the truth. Because of people like you and me, it is actually changing. It's actually getting better.
Yeah.
And it's actually changing. And tons of not just close friends, but I see so many, I don't see all the messages, but I see tons of them coming in each day. No one on Instagram answers for me. Like I like to read lots of YouTube comments every day.
Oh, wow.
And there's a wave happening in physical therapy and with doctors.
Yes.
Because if you do explain it well and don't say, if you don't train knees over toes, you're an idiot. If you don't swallow it down, you're an idiot. Like,
Right.
if you don't make it a fight, if you can respect others and be honest about it, you can educate a ton of people.
Sure.
Those are my two primary focuses. Like, okay, I'm going to make an Instagram video, let's say. Is it honest? That's the first thing I'm asking myself. Is that honest?
Is that your best evaluation of what's going on?
Am I actually being honest?
Yep.
Number two, am I actually being respectful? Because I'm not like trying to bash the academic system.
Sure.
Like that's not my, like if I go too far on that, it kind of could make more enemies, and that's not the purpose.
Right.
I need the doctors and physical therapists to learn this.
Yes.
And then lastly, am I teaching in a way that like someone could like safely start it?
Right.
Like I remember when TikTok started and I threw up like some crazy like sissy squats or something, and the posts were going viral, but I could barely sleep at night.
Oh, fuck.
I'm like, so I don't feel good about this.
Because people are just
Like there's no
into the
progression.
last progression right away. Yeah.
Is it honest? Is it respectful? Does it scalability? And I've become obsessed with those three. And then I'm like, even looking at the world, I'm like, oh, now I understand the government. Like, oh, you start lying to your people.
Yeah.
You start squashing your people.
Yeah.
Success is all of a sudden unobtainable. It no longer scales.
Yeah.
And you wind up with a civilization that no longer exists, that goes
Russia
down.
today.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. So I've become, those are my guides.
That's a really great system. I think,
but it is because of those things, because of the way that you're articulating it, it's actually like we're actually winning. We're not just like these fringe people that are noble but losing. No, like we're actually doing it. We're actually winning.
Yeah, it's interesting. Our channel has had a lot of success recently, which I attribute to I just like literally just pay off some dude at YouTube with physical acts, by the way.
The honesty of what you're putting out, it works. It's honest. It's like a natural law that the channel blew up.
Scott's going to start laughing. We lie mostly.
Well, however, he has to make it that the data gets across to people.
That's true.
The audio, the lighting, the production, people have to be able to consume it. Like you can't just be sitting in your yard like I'm the best trainer. Like
that's actually the thing is a lot of people, including myself, formerly, kind of sort of laboring in silence or on putting out content in a way that isn't overly compelling, though very true and very valuable, isn't produced very well, though very true and very valuable. And I guess it's kind of cool to be in a space now where we actually can reach some people, but we didn't get here by just lying our asses off and making stuff up. And we've made some enemies, but I don't have a problem making enemies of charlatans and people who rip people off on purpose.
Right. And that's where even for you, you can still assess the respect factor. I mean, like it's not just a black and white. That's something for you to assess. Sure. And you do, like, I don't regret that I have noted that in college, I had to take exams and say no knees over toes. Like, so I'm not saying that you can never criticize anyone, but did I say it respectfully?
Yeah.
Am I like, those people are, like it's, like I'm not calling out individual teachers, but yeah, I've seen you take certain things where it's like, there's people in the industry who have varying degrees of ethics.
Varying degrees of ethics is a very good way to put it.
So I'm not saying like there can't be any critics. You can still keep your composure.
Which I do sometimes.
Yeah. No, but you're able to stay calm about it. I'm not saying you're perfect because I haven't been perfect.
I'll say it. I'm perfect. I say that every day in the mirror, and you know what, man, it just doesn't work. It never sinks in.
But you can't lie about it. Like honesty is still the first factor.
Yeah, for sure. Well, lying is interesting. Lying on social media and lying lies on a spectrum from callously making shit up all the way to a very mild exaggeration of a fundamentally true thing and everything in between. And to the extent that you go higher and higher into lies on that spectrum, depending on how creative you are with your lying, you can get lots of attention and stuff like that.
Oh, it works.
It works.
Everything I'm saying, the inverse works.
Yes.
Short term.
Yes.
There's an inverse short to long. It all works.
Yes.
The dishonesty, the disrespect, these things all get attention.
100%. My view is On the disrespect stuff, and this is something I've sort of been working on a little bit lately, is like a lot of our Hollywood review videos were just like me like dunking jokes onto people's heads. Poor fuckers that never saw it coming. But I didn't really enjoy that a ton. It's funny. Jokes are funny. But like if I was one of these trainers that was training a Hollywood celebrity and then I saw a video of me making fun of him, I'd be like, dude, fuck that guy. And I would be totally 100% respect. Like, it's not a very nice, not a very cool thing to do. I think celebrities do kind of like when I get made fun of on the internet by like everyone, and it doesn't really bother me because like,
well, I've
got it coming.
I haven't seen too much though. I mean, to the degree that you're honest, that's like your number one.
The honesty is a helpful thing. Yeah. So on the negativity side, I think it's really easy to come up fast being super hypercritical only and not helpful. But I think at some point, my hypothesis, I'm not sure if this is true, is that people who continue to tune into your content, like seeing some negativity every now and again is dope. Yeah. But if you watching someone be negative all the time, it drains you and you start to feel it. Yeah. And then so most of the really popular fitness YouTube channels seem to just be like very positive. And you walk away from watching their videos being like, that was really fun and cool. And everyone kind of won in their own way. I learned something. It was great. So the long term on positivity, I think, is really good. Yeah. And then, of course, the honesty thing is you can get a lot of shit done lying for a little while and skyrocket into popularity. The Liver King exists. But at some point when a critical mass of people realize you're a known liar in big fundamental ways, everyone fibs. You know, I tell people I have a functioning penis. That's never been true. But, you know, if you are known as mostly a truthful person, people are going to be like, yeah, that guy, I want to hear what he has to say. But if you've gone into some fame by lying, when most people figure out you're full of shit, it is preposterously difficult to come back from that. Yeah. Because what is there going to be a fucking new you? You know, like, oh, hey guys, you do a YouTube video like I've changed. I'm a new man and I don't lie anymore. Like some number of P.T. Barnum's, you know, suckers born every minute will believe that. Most people are like, I'm good, man. There's 18 other people I can get my advice from and it's not you. So that's kind of my thought about it. Another thing also I think is helpful in social media is to be more genuine than not. Like people sometimes accuse me of just being myself everywhere. To be honest, that's not true because the real me, the level of politically incorrect humor would get me canceled. It's like the first thing I would say get me canceled, but it's close. It is as close as I can get to on various platforms. And if you're really genuine, you come off as an incredibly genuine person. Now I have dick for fucking character assessment. Scott, how autistic am I? Bad. It's bad. I don't even know your gender technically right now. I can barely see. But you always and everywhere that I've seen your interactions and seen your videos and meeting you in person seem like there's just like a real Ben Patrick that just wants to kind of like help the world out in his own little special way. Like if you have that and you're honest and you try to stay either balanced or positive. Balance means you talk some shit, but then you say, hey, like respect cut on this kind of stuff. Like, I don't agree with this person doing this, but a lot of other ideas are great. If you stay in that realm, whatever value you have to bring to the world will be fully accessible to everyone. Whereas if you deviate from that realm, if you become dishonest or start dishonest, if you become a person who no one really knows who the fuck you are, you're just various veils of whatever you have to be that day. And you know, at some point, it's just there's not a coming back from that a ton because people are like, well, are you just a new person all of a sudden? You know what I mean? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you've called people out, but your respect level is still high. If you had a low respect level, you'd just be like, fuck knees over toes guy. I wouldn't be sitting here right now. That's true. There's no chance I'd be sitting here. Listen, we evaluate people on what we see and what we hear, and if you're talking some shit that's nonsense, we'll call you out for it. Yeah, but if there's the honesty side. 100%. And the honesty side and the respect side have a little bit of an interesting relationship. Yeah. I have kind of a rule for myself. If it's someone who I don't think is a scumbag charlatan, I give them a real good positive look and a little bit of criticism that's couched appropriately with tons of respect. On the other hand, if you're a charlatan, then you get the full brunt of through two middle fingers in the air. On that note, related, not really, you're back into training at this point in your life. Yep. You are doing some work on knee extension under load. You're feeling your swag a little bit. Talk us through your journey back into playing basketball, because you got to fill in the blanks for me from when you were coaching those kids. I'm not allowed to be around children, especially in a coaching capacity. Scott remembers the incident, we call it. There were several, really, in multiple states, but in countries over many years. But in any case, goddamn kids, you know what I mean? Just do what I say. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. In any case, you were coaching up the kids and you were like, oh my God, like I'm not weird in these positions.
Yeah.
Take us through the journey of when you dunked a basketball, because like that's a lot of space, ability wise between those. How long did that take, and what did you do to get there?
Definitely. Being 6'1", first off, you don't have to jump that high to dunk. It's more like if you're over 6 foot in basketball, it's much more of an embarrassment if you can't dunk. Like it's an arbitrary 10 foot. Like
you can flash the white skin and be like, I had a permanent excuse for that, fellas. It's
definitely true that on my entire college team, like I was the only guy, my wingspan was shorter than my height.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. So, I mean, in your humor, I can probably proudly say that my stat to D size was probably like led the nation. But it was definitely something I had given up on. But the knee training, like the fact that, so I then went hardcore on the knee training and gave it like about a year to where I was able to go. There's like schools where failed basketball players can try to get a second shot, prep teams and stuff. So I was the oldest guy there.
Like Hogwarts for basketball.
Yeah. Okay. And it's
how oldest by how big of a margin?
Well, I was 20, but it's like I'm playing with mostly like 15 to 18-year-old.
You got to punk these kids out, man. Just face palm everyone. Fuck out of me, you little bitch ass kid.
But it was cool, like the fact that I could play without my knees hurting. And one of my buddies on my team was like, "Oh yeah, you could dunk," and I'm like, "Get out of here." and like just with him, like maybe within 1 or 2 practices of like trying, like I dunked a basketball.
Wow.
But it was like there's a lot of degrees of dunking.
Yes.
It was like a barely
one hand up, scooting the ball just over the rim situation.
Yeah, it was like a barely perfect, all the stars have to align kind of situation.
Yes.
Went to college, back into you're not allowed to let your knees over your toes.
Whoa, hold on. So who's telling you?
So I got a scholarship. So playing on this team, I then got a college scholarship to play basketball at a junior college.
Okay, excellent.
So 2-year college.
Good stepping stone.
All right, so I'm in the game.
Were you excited at this point? Were you happy? Or were you nervous it was going to flitter away like everything else?
I was so much happier than before.
Sure.
But now I was like pretty terrified of like, now I'm not allowed to do the knees over toes. I'm not allowed to squat below parallel.
So, okay. So your collegiate coach or strength and conditioning coach, who was?
They didn't really have one. So it's kind of like an assistant coach. And
was also the strength coach.
Yeah. And like, there's a lot of pressure. You can't just be like, hey, I'm going to train differently than the rest of the team. It's people who are outside of sports are always amazed at how serious sports are. You know, like, oh, we're just a junior college. No one cares. No. Like, go watch an 8-year-old like soccer game. It's taken too seriously.
Dads will fight each other for that shit.
So then I had a massive regression, if you will.
That sucks.
It really took the wind out of my sails, and definitely had like some more knee tweaks. It was at a point where then like the problem is like, so like I knew enough. So I went and got a membership at a CrossFit gym locally. And so I'd like go outside of our practices and like do the backward sled. But
fucking criminal.
And like,
way to let your team down.
Yeah. So like I knew enough to like be able to keep playing. But going into the second year, I just straight up told the coach that I was going to use a full range of motion. And
how'd that go? Like,
he's like, your teammates are not going to respect you. I was all of a sudden like one of the more hated guys on the team.
Scott, hold on. Scott, are you hearing this shit?
This is like the deeper detail. This is like the long version of the story.
I love it. That's what we're here
You can see where a lot of like, you know, if I'm not out there, people can say anything negative they want about me. But if I'm not out there on social media, you know, things are rough out there for athletes in terms of their freedom to use a full range of motion. Like in my mind,
Hashtag free the athlete.
in my mind, I'm a freedom fighter for this.
My man.
Like nothing's going to knock me off my mission, but that doesn't mean I'm going to justify my past mistakes. Like I need to not make the same errors, disrespect, breaking honesty. Like I need to be better. So, so like this is the full story. So that definitely added more to it. I almost never tell that part. And here's why.
Okay.
I think this is the first time I've ever told that part on a podcast. And the reason is because my college coach was an amazing guy.
Yeah.
And I never want that to be taken out of context.
There's tons of amazing people have differing opinions. It's interesting because like, politics, for example, I'm not going to get into the details, but there are a variety of folks on the extreme right and left wing, let's say, that just hate each other. Yeah. But like if they ever met and talked as just real humans, right, 90% of them would be like, what do you think of Jill? Like, Jill's fucking dope, man. And be like, well, she's a leftist. And you're like, I know, that sucks. Yeah. We disagree on that. Yeah. But as a human being, most people are dope. And
exactly.
Like, it's also your college coaches had just one notion that depth and knees over toes was bad. Right. Everything else they could have just been super fucking good about. Yeah. Just one notion, and then all of a sudden you don't have to make enemies out of people. Yeah. But retrospectively, they're probably. Well, I doubt they watch this because nobody fucking watches this.
Well, don't post it in a short clip. Anything.
Oh, we're gonna edit the fuck out of a short clip. We're gonna find out who the story ends well. We're gonna do the AI thing where your mouth moves like saying their names, and we're gonna call them out. We're gonna dox them. Where they live. It's gonna be great, man. Death threats, the whole thing. That's what we do.
That's why you got me in here.
100% revenge, bro.
But it ends well. Like I was working hard. Like I knew that like on the team, I just had to be that guy who like dives on every loose ball.
Yeah.
Slaps everyone's ass not, figuratively, but like, I had to take it on the chin and earn my way. And sure enough, I was captain by the end of the year. Because they knew like I proved it. Like I was tough. Squatting with the full range of motion doesn't make you like it. And guys from the team then who were having knee pain would start to go with me.
Ooh.
But also guys with
an issue with coaching or?
No, like because I was earning the respect.
Because they were like, coaches were like, all right, whatever.
And it went from there to where the head coach of that team, as soon as I graduated, had me then run the strength coaching for the team.
Wow.
And so I ran the strength coaching for the team. They were one of the most successful junior college basketball teams ever. And he's a head Division I coach now.
Oh my God.
So I went from a situation where I was not allowed to go below parallel, not allowed to have my knees over toes, to then the generations after that being that all the players did get to use a full range of motion. And he would send me pictures and you could see fastest medialis muscles building and so many guys getting rid of knee pain and improving their career. And
knee pain's a thing in basketball. Like, whoa.
Exactly. So the story ends well. We're super duper tight. And yeah, so it ends well, but it was definitely a setback. So now by this point, the second year, I was able to continue the knees over toes, the full range of motion, started getting like pretty good. At basketball. Got a D1 full ride scholarship.
D1 full ride?
Yes.
I got also a D1 full ride in basketball, but it was because they described it as an eagerness in the locker room that we've just never seen from one individual by themselves.
So, small Division I school. Again, better to just not go into the names of the things, but
no worries.
I could tell from day one was not going to be allowed to use a full range of motion there. Now,
dude, so this is like round 4 of you getting that.
And I'm like, all right, by this point, like, this is what got me here. Like, I've already done this twice. So I was still, but by this point, I knew that even no matter what I'm made to do in the weight room, not full range of motion, I already knew that I could like balance it out well by going off hour. It's annoying when you're a college student and you got to do your homework and do all this stuff. And then you still got to go at 9 p.m. at night to the local CrossFit gym. Thank goodness for that gym, those good old gyms that I got. Here, do whatever, your local, $50 a month. Here's the code.
That's awesome.
Go in there, blast your music. And
Did you wear a disguise? No
one was there. It was just empty.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, I mean, on the way in and out, what kind of fucking spycraft do you not know?
No one cared.
Ridiculous. No one's looking for me.
But in a team workout, can't like.
No, yeah, of course.
You can't change the team workout.
And I understand that from a team dynamic situation. If we put you in the striped shirt and get glasses and a hat on you, you would look like convincingly like Where's Waldo. Do you remember Where's Waldo, the books and stuff like that? I don't remember what he looked like, but... Well, that's why you probably never found him. You were no good at that shit. Scott, how good were you at Where's Waldo?
He's got a Waldo-esque resemblance.
Yeah. is like a tall, lanky white dude with black hair.
I can blend in well.
Yeah, like you're never going to get spotted for anything. It'll be like, where's knees over toes guy? You're just in some like, you just get into a crowd in New York City, like he's gone. He's gone. You'll never see him again.
Yeah.
So you are smuggling yourself into a CrossFit gym. Were there any 9 p.m. off hours CrossFit girls around to keep you company?
Not at all.
Dang it.
Also had 19, started dating my wife. So we've been together 14 years.
You
Never
dated someone's wife?
No, we're married now.
Oh, I see.
My wife, we got together when I was 19. So
very
so
cool.
through this.
How old were you at this point when you were in the D1 scholarship era?
23.
That's an old D1 player.
Well, that was kind of the
grandpa.
That was kind of the saving grace, is that the NCAA wrote the team and they're like, he can't play. He's too old. So the head coach of the team was like, dude, the NCAA says you're too old. Like no one realized how old I was, I guess, at this point. Like my junior college coach, like it's not a usual thing.
Yeah.
So like no one had even thought of it.
Sure.
So now I was faced with like that I could get a lawyer and like try to fight it, show the medical records. But when that college coach called me, I'm like, yep, I'm supposed to be a trainer. Like I smiled. It was kind of like a relief off my back that I wasn't going to have to do another 2 years of answering no knees over toes on tests and having to smuggle into CrossFit gyms at night. And so it was a relief, and I became a trainer then. And Division II did not have those rules. So I had dozen Division II teams giving me full offers. Like, what are you doing? You're never going to get this chance again. You're going to regret this the rest of your life.
Were quite good at basketball then.
Good. Yeah, good enough. So I could have played another 2 years of college, played Division II, maybe played in Europe or something. Like I could have kept
pro.
But even at the Division II schools, they weren't going to let me do knees over toes. So I'm just like, I'm sorry, dude. Like,
this is intense. You should have put that in your contract. You need more Jews around you. That was a fucking problem. If I knew you back then, I'd call, put on my Jew voice and everything. Oh, you better let him in or else.
Yeah.
You'd be in. So like, just write in the contract, like must do knees over toes, must be paid in pure gold bars, standard contract stuff.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. So you kind of put the basketball thing aside.
Yeah.
Because in large part of the people in the establishment that wouldn't let you train in a way that was caretaking your knees.
Yeah. I mean, just literally not allowing me to squat below parallel.
This
or
is
let
like
my knees over my toes.
USSR, North Korea, Iran kind of shit. Some arbitrary rule. Like everyone have freedom here, except never squat knees over toes or you get summarily executed. You're like, I'm sorry, that's the thing? Like, holy shit. What other random shit are you not allowed to do? You're benching, your shit gets below 90. They're like, you're out of school.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
No, there's definitely days where I'm like, okay, I'm kind of like lame on the freedom fighting scale, but like, what else am I going to do in life? Like
I want you to sit next to someone on a flight who you just like start up a conversation. They're like, yeah, man, I actually, I fought in the Iranian Revolution against this and that. And my family was exiled to Italy and now we're organizing, smuggling people out. You're like, I'm involved in a lot of the same work. And he's like, oh, like what? You're like, what you see when your knees go over your toes. It's just like, I'm sorry, what? Well, they wouldn't let me play in college. They wouldn't let me play. But anyway, you finish your story.
It definitely would not work to explain to someone who's been through, like, who came from a communistic country, like what I do for a living.
For sure.
Just like, I'm a trainer. That's it.
But
like,
you can relate. Oppression.
Like, I don't even try to bother. Just like,
it kind of, on the one hand, it's all jokes, right? But on the other hand, it's kind of like, man, these teams missed out on a fucking great player by just sticking to some kind of dogma that I'll say from my PhD sports science background was make-believe from the start. There was never a time when there was a compelling amount of evidence, although one-sided, that knees over toes was bad. It just never existed. I remember, I'll tell the story now. I've told it in a couple other contexts. My co-founder of RP, pay respect, I always bow to the brand, Mr. Nick Shaw, him and I went to undergrad together at Michigan. And by then, by the time I met him, I was fully well into depth before dishonor on the squat. And your knees are supposed to go over your toes. That's how the human body works. And Nick was doing reps of 315 or something like that in the squat. And he racked the bar. And this was at the university gym. And this guy sort of watching him squat, he's like, isn't that bad for your knees? And Nick, in kind of your attitude of total open-mindedness, he wasn't like, nah. He was like, oh, why would it be? And the guy literally did this, for whoever's watching. The guy just connected his fingers together like this. He was, and Nick was like, he's just bending his hand. And Nick was like, go on. The guy's like, I got nothing. He had like a notion before there was an idea to support it. You're like, when you're like, I know your name. And you're like, what is it? They're like, actually don't, never mind. Sorry. It was that.
Yeah.
I mean, people had the idea that knees over toes was bad, but they didn't even have an explanatory mechanism that was even make-believe. There was no explanatory mechanism. It's just bad. Cause like later people layered like shearing force or whatever other stuff. Your knee's not designed to go that way. Same. And I know if you've encountered this in your career, you get the same shit with lockouts. Like we've got like, I lock out the hack squat and people are like, don't do that. I'm like, why? They're like, cause I saw 1.5 videos on Instagram where someone dies doing that. And usually other people will be like, you ever see a car accident before? They're like, yeah. Like, do you drive your car? They're like, nah, okay, touche. But the mechanism of why locking out is bad is again, one of these things where people know it's bad, quote unquote, but they don't even know why. Sometimes they even ask the question. Did you ever get some reasoning from people when you started saying knees over toes is a good thing as to why it's bad? Or was it just like, it's bad and that's just all we need to talk about?
When your knee goes over your toes, there's more pressure on it.
Okay, right on. Okay. Fuck physics, I guess. Like, oh, so the gravitational force increases. So there's more pressure on the knee generally, not specific structure.
Which is
that would get too complex.
Why it works so well.
Right. Yes. Don't walk because that's a lot of pressure on your knees. Don't ever jump.
It really is just exercising your body through full ranges of motion requires a little more mastery, requires a little more intelligence and mastery and but it's worth pursuing in life versus this cog in a wheel of don't pursue being great. Like it's worth pursuing understanding full range of motion.
Sure.
I think that the risk to reward of taking the time to understand full range of motion is probably in like the top 10 like basic things you could do, like understanding food versus just like going off the food pyramid and just whatever they serve at the cafeteria, like understanding how to freely move your body, understanding how food works, understanding what is money, what happens with it if it goes in the bank or does like some.
It's a good idea.
Some things are better to understand.
Yes. Throw away your notepad and your Excel sheets. The RP Hypertrophy app has all of your workouts displayed in one place with guided videos on exercise techniques and a program that evolves to better suit your needs the longer you use the app. All you have to do is follow the plan right on your phone and get the gains. Click on the link in the description of this video to get started. Do you have anything you're seeing now, experimenting with now, seeing in folks you work with that you're a little bit excited about and kind of share maybe something, maybe more of the same, maybe saying something like, well, I really am finding even more evidence that for an even broader range of people with even more extreme knee deformity or stuff, this kind of stuff works? Or are there any movements you're experimenting with or any approaches that you think are worth noting?
Without question, my big passion now is helping people who don't really exercise. Like, how do they get into an exercise routine?
That's such a big deal. That's most people.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I came up with so far.
Please.
And this is from like observing what works and then using my parents as guinea pigs. My parents are 67, 70. They exercise. My kids are 2 and 4. They're already like naturally do the programs. It's almost seeing like what do people naturally want to do?
Yeah.
And like what do older people like actually enjoy doing? Like it can't, like you got to like doing it. And so for starters, like here's actual conversation. Guy at the coffee shop the other night, he wants to exercise. He knows I'm a trainer. Where do I start? I wrote my system on a napkin for him.
That's awesome.
This is how I currently train. Exactly what I told
that'll
him.
That'll be $499.
Yeah. And then I got him into motion doing this stuff. So first off, I'm like, okay, so you don't exercise, but like you go for a walk most days, right? Okay, like you're already halfway through step 1 of my 8-step system. You're already doing it. Like you're already exercising. Well, let's just throw in some backward now. Like get some knee extension and go backward. Okay, 5 minutes, move the body forward and backward. All right, good. Now, if you already walk, if you already play sports, whatever, you could do it just backward. You could walk backward with kids. You could have them run backward for 5 minutes. You'd get some more quad stimulus than you would without doing it.
Sure.
If you're a bodybuilder, maybe this is the equivalent of like doing hamstring curls and leg extension. Like someone could, but it's like, okay, you're already walking, but that's all you do. You do no other exercise. Okay. Then because it's like such a win to just start walking backward, if it's two older people, they hold hands. One sees where they're going, the other, and you just go back and forth. They've been doing that in Asia for thousands of years to help prevent knee arthritis.
Oh,
Just passed down generation to generation.
That's really
They
cool.
hold hands. One person sees where they're going. They walk forward. They walk backward.
it's probably called something cool like dragon walk or some shit.
Yeah. So 5 minutes. Good. Done. Step 1 is done. All right. Now go like hang from that bar at the playground or the pull-up bar or whatever. Just hang until you're tired. 2 steps done out of 8. You're already doing it. Yeah. Call it a day if you want. Call it a day. Now, for me, hook up to the sled. 5 minutes, I'm like pretty smoked on the sled. For me, that's like my equivalent of cardio. Mm-hmm. And then I do a set of pull-ups to failure. And the next session, I'll do rows to failure, like till I'm exhausted. So each layer, so you go from the moving the body forward and backward to then do some sort of upper body pull until you're exhausted. People really win with pulling. Like you can go like hang from a bar. You can like do a row. The pressing gets a little more painful, harder to confront.
Okay.
Same with like the squatting gets a little more harder to confront than like, hey, you're already walking, just start going backward. Like,
yes.
So cardio forward and backward 5 minutes, a set of pulls. Hey, you want to add more than a set? Awesome. That's even more of a win. These are like these minimums that getting it. Now, step 3, we're going to get into some squat mobility.
Okay.
Legs are kind of warm from the 5 minutes forward and backward. You went to the upper body. So like the muscles cool down a bit, but the connective tissues at least have some juices flowing. Mm-hmm. And then as I'll show you in the gym, like maybe my biggest specialty really is like just helping people scale full range of motion squats.
I love that.
So just help them get into it. All right, so now we're getting into some full range of motion squatting. Those are the first 3 steps. Now the fourth, okay, now we're gonna do some kind of a press. So the guy at the cafe, I got him into a scaled full range of motion squat. Now I got him just on the cafe bar, just doing a push-up with the largest range of motion
like, can you guys please leave? This is ridiculous.
I'm like, dude, you're already 4 steps into an exercise routine. And you've been years of not exercising thinking, I don't have an hour to do, like, holy shit, I'm already 4 out of 8 steps.
Yeah.
Then we got to get something for the posterior. Gets a little trickier. I like people, like for my dad, I got him a back extension in his living room, pump up that backside. This is why I'm a huge fan of the Nordic hamstring curl, because I can hold someone's heels and you can fight the eccentric and just challenge yourself for a set. That's it, on a back extension or an eccentric Nordic. You got a hamstring curl machine? Beautiful. Go to my headquarter gym. I have a gorgeous hamstring curl machine and I love using it. Mm-hmm. So, but that's where, like, previously in the podcast, I talked about the honesty thing. If I make someone think that a Nordic is better than a hamstring curl machine and a hamstring curl machine is bad, that is dishonest. Now, I've never said that, but I have to look at the content, and it's very tough in 60 seconds to get the context. So
I would say, real quick, what I would say is if you're trying to learn something of quality and depth from reels, you got off on the wrong train station stop to begin with.
Yeah.
Reels are supposed to be little bite-sized nuggets of wisdom and fun from which you don't build a complex system of understanding. That's what long-form content is for.
Yeah.
So I'm honestly not so concerned, and kind of a dickish way, to be honest, that people misunderstand things from reels, because I think from folks that complain like, well, this reel isn't exactly nuanced. I'm like, motherfucker, you wanted nuance in 60 seconds? What the hell? Nuance takes an hour to describe at all. So I don't ever fault anyone for, like, unless you're straight up bullshitting in reels, if it seems like, ooh, is this really true in some context? Well, assume there's a context behind it, but don't assume there's no context. That's how reels work.
Yeah.
Sorry, end rant.
No, I appreciate that. So step 5, you're getting into something for the posterior. Now step 6, get something for the core.
Okay.
What I teach is an L-sit, because like, all right, for the guy at the cafe, he just, in a chair, just hold your body up. Like, try to hold, like, just in a chair. Try to
You're
lift.
the first person to have done a workout here in the studio, by the way, officially with that move.
Yeah. So I'm telling, like, dude, you're already 6 out of 8 steps. Like, you've already trained. You've already got, we skipped the first step of the forward and forward and backward walking. And for him, I told him, like, he's a younger guy. I'm like, go to basketball court or something and just run forward and backward for 5 minutes. Like, you're going to be smoked.
Sure.
Like, compared to doing, it's like, that's not perfect cardio. Oh, right now he's doing zilch. Like, moving his body forward and backward at whatever pace is going to be,
it's
going to be amazing.
On your first day or week or month or year of training.
Like, he doesn't have an hour to do the cardio. And so I've already got him 6 steps. He's already trained his full body. And then step 7, I like people to have a little flexibility routine they can use. But the context of it is important. That no, I think the full range of motion squat, the full range of motion press, the full range of motion upper body pull, the training the posterior, I think those are more important than the flexibility routine. So it gives
And
a
they
nice
give you a lot of flexibility because full
yeah.
range of motion is a ton of flexibility already.
That's how I can, like, that's how I'm flexible. Something about a little extra flexibility routine I use, and even that I kind of apply some strength aspects into it. You would actually like because you do jiu-jitsu, you would like my stretching routine a lot more than the average stretcher, because it's more like I'm trying to just kind of get into some of the groin and piriformis and kind of make it stronger, and like that I'm not like, I don't really want to like load those super heavy, like
Sure.
Whereas like with the full range of motion squat, a little more advantageous for strength.
Sure.
If you're doing full range squatting, pulling, pressing, like you can get so much great mobility from that.
100%.
So yeah, step 7, a little flexibility routine to get some of the nooks and crannies real quick. And then step 8, calf and tibialis race. Yes, I like doing the calf and I like doing the tib. As someone who puts tons of force in basketball, tons of force goes into our ankles, our knees, our shins. So no, the tibialis race is not a magic knee exercise, but
it's not going to fix all of my knee problems.
let's say we're going to make
financial problems.
Let's say we're going to make knee extensors and calves and knee flexors all 25% stronger and just skip the tib. No, I think you'll have better results by also doing the tib. That's it's going to relate more to someone who has had a knee surgery and wants to get back into sports. And so they don't realize that after the knee surgery, they did a lot of rehab, but the tib, usually from the period of being immobilized, gets extremely weak. So now they're getting back, but now they have like their shin hurts, and it takes 60 seconds. Like it's just, all right, do a set of 20 and you're going to be like, if you did a set of 20, you'd be smoked. Like it's very simple to exhaust.
Sure.
It's very simple to take to failure. You don't have to do warm-up sets to take it to failure. So there, I just taught you my system, and that's how I train. And there's nuance in it that, like for step 5 on the posterior, like I'll do hamstring curl one time. Next time I do like RDL, the good stretch. Next time I do back extension. Might do like
specific exercises.
Someone can take this. Someone can take that 8-step framework and do whatever they want with it. But what's cool is that I'm having success for my actual family members, that I have a vested interest in them being healthy and having an exercise routine.
Sure.
And with my dad, it's like, okay, got him going on the forward and backward. Okay, got him. He's just did his first chin up in decades. This is a good thing.
That's crazy. That's impressive.
Yeah. So he's not blindly following some extreme, like it's connecting from the no exercise routine to getting him into it. Now he's mobilizing up into a little bit of deeper range on the squats, and now he's like, starting to look at, okay, what press am I going to add now? Like, and so that's what you'll see me, while still putting out, like my contract with myself is like, okay, still put out a knee video every week, like try to keep helping people with the knee.
Because you're the world's expert on knee health.
I got to do maybe the people's educational resource on like,
well, that's oddly socialistic.
Definitely not the world's expert.
People's Republic of Knee stuff.
My point is just that you don't see any like mainstream media asking me any questions.
We'll get there.
I've been on Rogan, but mainstream media has not bothered to like ask me anything.
We could do a fake mainstream media read right now. Folks, knees over your toes. Dangerous for your children, or will it kill grandma? Tonight, news at 11. So it's that easy. Now you're on real media.
Yeah. And that's also how I help educate people. Like ideally, like knees over toes never should have really been mentioned. Like I think exercise would have been better had it just not been mentioned either way. Just let someone squat form, go to full range of motion. Like I'm not forcing my knee over. Like I'm just like,
right.
Like
it's
use
just what happens.
Find a full range of motion that feels good.
Yes.
People have different body types. Some it may be more or less the knee over the toe. Like ideally it never would have been mentioned.
Yeah.
If you go to walk backward, your knee is over your toe. That's all. It's like, but if you tell someone like walk backward thinking about your knee, like ideally you wouldn't think about it. Like
sure,
you just do a net. So it at least helps people. That's like, okay, you're walking forward. That is like a certain fact. Now you go to step backward. you're actually like loading different things
Yes.
than when you walk forward. And that's like a scale that you could add resistance to.
Yes. You're the name knees over toes guy.
Yeah.
What do you think about that name?
I was not on social media, hated social media.
Yeah.
Was helping people in person, helping so many kids, and was like the local knee guy. Like, you know, people come in like, their life is being ruined by some knee thing, and like doing this over and over. Like, this was my specialty. But yeah, I was kind of on the outside, pissed off that no one knows about this, and kind of to a point where my friends telling me like, dude, you got to go on social media. You got to go on social media. You got to go on. Like, you got like the stuff you just taught me. Like, I fortunately had really good friends who believed in me, that they're like, the stuff you just showed me, like, the world needs to know that. And so I came up with the name Knees Over Toes, because in my mind, I'm like, I don't care about social media, but if I just educate on that one point, that'll be a win for me.
Huge win. In addition to that, Knees Over Toes is a really emotive phrase, because it strikes people as like, wait a minute, isn't that the thing we're not supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're like really curious, like, how is this guy, defying the rule set that we're all supposed to be doing? And then once you look into your work, it's quite compelling. And then everything, I think, comes off of that. If you were just like the knee rehab guy, it doesn't engage with me as a title.
They'll assume it's something like that.
You're just another knee rehab person, of which there are no doubt thousands.
Yeah. This was at the time the idea of, showing, scaling how to get into full range squats and these kind of things. This wasn't something being done on social media.
Sure.
And so, yeah, Knees Over Toes guy worked out. My wife, family was kind of like, you're going to be what now? Like, it was like, it sounded pretty silly to people.
Yes.
And I'm like, guys, like, I know it sounds silly, but like, I know my industry, and it's like, this would be a really like a forward step to like educate people on this.
Huge. So
it worked out better than I thought, but I also kept working on the system, kept training people. I'm always trying to make sure it's as good as I can. I'm always trying to educate on it better than I did last week. It wasn't just like some lucky thing, as you've seen. Like, sure, I get some hate, but like, you made the post about me, and these like tons of real people out there writing in, like, it really helps.
Way more than usual for the average person of your popularity that we critique. Tons of organic stories of people who feel like they owe a lot to you because your voice was the one in the darkness that they listened to. And it just transformed their ability to ambulate, really, walk around, exercise, be free of pain in the knees and everywhere else for that matter. But also, I think a lot of people in the world aren't coming from I'm a bodybuilder, I'm a power lifter, and my knees are fine, and who the hell is this guy? Way more people are coming from the world of like, I can't bend down to be at my toddler's level. I'm 32. What the hell is going on? Am I just going to need to be in a wheelchair soon?
Yeah.
And everyone I go to says, well, just lay off of it, because if they don't do anything to it, it just still hurts, because they got your progressive model and those ideas. I mean, they think they owe the world to you. I would say being able to move around pain-free, well, it's not the world, but geez, it's really, really, really important and really good. Yeah. And on that note, just to wrap up here, what is a piece of wisdom that you can offer someone who has some joint pain, who wants it to go away? They either exercise currently trying to avoid it, or they don't exercise, and they're listening to this. Where do you start them? What can you tell them right now? One simple thing that will give them a little bit of clarity and move them in the right direction.
I think, like we covered earlier, is just realizing that just because it hurts to do something, you don't have a zero of that ability. So we're going to find some level of that ability that you do have. And then, how you started out and you could only bench 135 and now you can bench 225. Like,
yes,
the body, hey, we all start somewhere, but like, the body can adapt, and we're going to find what amount you do have and improve that to some degree. And so then those same tasks, maybe not perfect, but maybe now those same tasks won't be as painful, tolerable.
I love it. That's really wise. Ben, if people want to learn more about you, learn your system, hire you to be their coach or trainer, or just call you to tell you that Clearwater, Florida is a real cesspool of society, where can they do that best? Where are you found?
Like we discussed, YouTube is best because you can get the nuance.
Of course.
So my YouTube is where people seem to get the best education. My business model is basically teach everything I know on YouTube. Then if you want the program laid out on an app, if you want to be able to ask questions, if you want to be able to send in video of your form doing it, which we found is really important.
Really important.
Then I maintain, haven't changed the price, although inflation, I've had to definitely consider it, but it's $50 a month. There's no long-term contract. And it's even half off the first month. So like at worst, or at best, someone could pay $25 and spend a month in my app, asking any question they have, sending in video of their form, seeing how do I lay these out in programs. It is far from a get-rich-quick scheme. We have to work a lot for it, but it works out. I make good money doing this. I now, after many years of doing that, some of the things, there are great equipment companies out there, but some of the things I wanted to, I just wasn't seeing in the equipment market, kind of quite how I wanted some certain things. So now some of the tools, you don't need any tools. That's my biggest passion, is helping someone with literally zilch.
Yeah.
But if you want to add some tools to your home gym or whatever, I make some of that stuff. And so far, so good. I don't want to have to change the price, but the numbers, it works out well.
I love it. And they can get access to your app by getting into your YouTube and following links in the description.
Yeah. atgonlinecoaching.com is the name of the website.
Oh, excellent.
It would probably be smarter business-wise if it was just knees over toes guy. But I had a beautiful gym with a giant ATG on the front for many years before I thought of going on social media and calling myself knees over toes guy. Yeah. So ATG, which is short for Athletic Truth Group, which I was just trying to come up with some acronym to fit ATG.
I thought it was ass to grass.
That's what it really is.
Right.
Really, it's just ATG. But the legal name, you got to have some business name, which I always thought was really cheesy, Athletic Truth Group. But now in hindsight, I'm like, well, damn, I got some truth out there. So screw off, because I actually,
exactly.
I've kind of earned that name.
You absolutely have.
And it's a reminder of well, okay, earn that name, but I got to do better. Don't slide the other way. Be even more honest. Do better.
Let me give you some advice from at the top. Lie, overcharge, and charge a ton, and then just ghost everyone. It's worked for me so far. It's worked for RP. Ben, huge honor having you on our little show.
Huge honor for me.
Oh, stop. We're going to go right after this and learn some gym stuff. That video folks can also find on our channel. Folks, give this guy a look, and we'll see you next time.